Thinking about work all the time makes me feel less well rested and more tired.
Like, what do people even do all day? Hi, my name is Yichi, and I just finished 6 months at my first job after graduating from school. I never knew what to expect at my first job, so I wanted to take a moment and just share what I've learned so far so that you don't have to learn the hard way. So, for background, what is my job? I'm a solutions engineer for medical software, so our end users are cardiologists, nurses, technicians, technologists, all sorts of staff who work in healthcare. My experiences prior to working were all in research, which did not ever paint working in corporate in any sort of favorable light. Like, what do people even do all day? So my only real knowledge of what happens in the corporate world comes from watching shows like The Office, which is not a great representation. Also, not a great impression.
You lose everything and everything falls apart, and eventually you die and no one remembers you.
However, my first 6 months in this world have been overwhelmingly positive. Working drives direct impact in the world, and that's actually something very cool to me. Who would have thought something that I built would be used by end users? And you trust me to do that? Maybe my opinion will change over time, and not everyone's experience is the same. But regardless, I wanted to share my takeaways that helped me transition from working in research to working in the tech industry. The number one thing is shocking to me, but it's that small talk really matters. People always make fun of corporate small talk. Monday through Wednesday, you ask, what did you do over the weekend? And then Thursday and Friday, you ask, what are your weekend plans? Of course, this is completely accurate. However, I found that there's a beauty to small talk when done correctly. The purpose of small talk is really to make the other person feel human. At work, we always talk about work stuff without the personal aspect. And without that, the relationship starts to feel like one of two cogs in a machine. When someone genuinely tells a funny story or asks you for your favorite brand of ice cream, it breaks that barrier and establishes that personal connection. It can really change the tone of a room and the tone of a conversation.
3 cubes made of sugar and fat? No, thank you. I'll stick with my jerky.
So why'd you come in here?
To socialize and inform.
Number 2, document and talk about what you do. When you work 8 hours a day, you do many things. Some of it work, and sometimes if you're good at your job, you might have good results. Now, your managers are people who are supposed to keep tabs of what you do and keep track of your progress to some extent. However, if you never share with them what things you're working on and what you consider to be your top win and top results, they might not know about it. At the end of the day, everyone is focused on their own work, so it's really up to yourself to advocate for your own work. When I talk to mentors and managers, I usually try to bring 1 or 2 small wins to share with them, since management structures can also be confusing and there may be a variety of people who are evaluating your work at any time.
There is this yellow zigzag that does give Ryan the authority to discipline Stanley.
Great.
However, in so doing, it zigs past your name, hence zagging you and making you appear weak.
I always express excitement. I think as a new hire, it's really important to show that you have enthusiasm. As a new employee, I think it's really important to express that enthusiasm so that your manager knows that you're excited and ready to learn. And it also really helps as padding when inevitably something does go wrong, as I'm a junior bozo. So the third point I wanted to bring up here is ownership is the same as impact. When I first started, I was having imposter syndrome about not knowing the technical aspects of my job and feeling stupid when people were explaining things to me that I just didn't understand. However, what I've learned is that making an impact isn't about knowing everything. It's about being able to follow up and keep on working through barriers until the solution reaches the final stage. Someone has to get their hands dirty and really be responsible for all that's going to go wrong. And if you're someone who's able to step up and take that role, people will favor that because then they don't have to worry about it. They know that you will take care of it even if you don't know the answer immediately. Knowing how to execute and push forward through barriers, whether that be like people, processes, or technical challenges, executing is really what drives the final impact. Doing this proactively builds trust with people, as people know that when you are handling something, you will see it through. They don't have to keep micromanaging you, and that really makes your work also a lot easier.
Here's what's going to happen. I am going to have to fix you, manage you on a more personal scale.
Working is honestly not that different from like when you're in school and you're doing a group project. It's just that the final product will leave the classroom immediately, and if it's a bad idea, it's a bad project, that will have consequences. That's also just like how adults are just children with a lot of money and power, and I honestly sometimes can't believe that the world is just built by us. Now, the fourth and final point I wanted to bring up is this idea of saving some for yourself. At the end of the day, work is just work. Work doesn't define yourself as a person and doesn't define your self-worth especially. It's important to not take things too personally. There are definitely toxic cultures and managers out there that will ruin your day, your week, your whole time at the company. But at the same time, there's no reason to make your own job more stressful than it already is. As a student, you're always on. You're always thinking about school, homework, your exams at all hours of the day. It was hard for me to shift my mentality from that sort of always on mentality to knowing that when I come home, I should not think about work anymore and there's no need to even have work be on my mind. Thinking about work all the time makes me feel less well rested and more tired, which is really not the goal. And honestly, now it's still hard for me to shift my mentality to not think about work. I remember my first few months of working, I was so tired. I would just come home every day, eat dinner, and crash. It's definitely gotten better, but I think I still struggle to really draw that boundary for myself, and I think that's just something that's going to come with time and experience. I'm also trying to keep learning and exploring other things so that my brain can be occupied with things that are not work. Thanks so much for hearing about my insights, and I hope this video is helpful. Bye!